Hello my friends, during the last week I've been testing Sigma 19mm f2.8 DN Art series lens on my A6500, and in this video I would like to share my thoughts and experiences with this lens. So as I said in my initial review, what I wanted from this lens was a good sharpness in small form factor that would together with my A6500 make a good combination for street photography, travel photography and for certain types of landscapes. Let's first talk about dimensions and build quality. This lens is just 4.7 centimeters long, weight is about 175 grams, so it is a very small lens, and small aps-c EMAL lenses like this one on A6500 make it possible to enjoy this professional or semi-professional camera as sort of point-and-shoot camera, suitable for situations where, for example, your Sigma 18 to 35 millimeters with adapter weighing close to 900 grams would feel and look awkward. And I have to say that I have really enjoyed using A6500 in this casual shooting configuration. I also like this lens aesthetically. Design matches A6000 series cameras very well. You can also get it in silver. Mount is metal. Rear section of this lens is also metal. Zoom ring is probably plastic with semi-gloss surface. It looks good when it's clean, but after a day of using with fingerprints all over it, it doesn't look so good. Supplied lens hood only adds about 1.5 centimeters to overall length. I keep it attached almost always to protect the front element. Filter size is 46 millimeters. Regarding the focal length, it is 19 millimeter, which is 28.5 millimeter full frame equivalent. That is the focal length that I use the most. It is quite popular focal length for fixed lens cameras. For example, Leica Q uses 28 millimeter focal length. Some prefer 23 or 24 mm, which is 35 mm equivalent, like on Fuji X100F. For me, 19 mm is a bit more flexible and more usable for landscapes, and with 24 megapixel sensor you can always crop in. Maximal aperture of this lens is f2.8, which is enough for me, especially in such small lens. I have tested this lens in low light, I will show you that later in the video. And now let's take a look at image quality and sharpness. Let's start with the testing landscape, that is just view out of my window by the way. Wide open at f2.8, 19mm Sigma can't even touch 18 to 35 because that lens is extremely sharp from wide open. This 19mm f2.8 unfortunately isn't. At f3.5 to f4 the sharpness increases, but the lens is still not at its sharpest. At f5.6 this lens is very sharp. I actually can't see any difference in sharpness comparing it to 18 to 35, and that is really remarkable considering that 18 to 35 is the sharpest lens that you can use with this camera at this focal length. It stays very sharp at f8, at f11 the sharpness starts to decrease. But even at f2.8 the sharpness is enough for most occasions and for posting pictures on the internet. I will be mostly able to use this lens at its sharpest point, and if I have to stop it down, I can live with decreased sharpness, so I'm personally very happy with this lens. There is a bit of chromatic aberration, but this amount can be fixed in post without any problems. There is a profile and Lightroom for this lens on Sony cameras, or it can be fixed even in camera as I showed in initial review. There is also slight vignetting, but again very acceptable and easy to fix in post or in camera, so I have no problem with that either. Color reproduction seems to be very neutral. It looks same as 18 to 35, which is also my benchmark for color reproduction, and on my calibrated 10-bit IPS monitor it also looks good. The autofocus with this lens is a bit tricky. I have found out that it works well in autofocus single mode. With autofocus single you can use every focus area. It probably won't be as fast as with native lens, but it will be perfectly fine. With continuous autofocus you should only use the wide area setting, but with this setting it will only use 9 autofocus points in the center of sensor, but this is fastest mode, and in this mode it is as fast as native lens, so I use autofocus continuous and wide area most of the time. Face detection does work on this lens, but eye autofocus unfortunately doesn't. In video, only autofocus continuous works. It is probably using just those 9 points in the center, but it is very fast and responsive. In other reviews of this lens, I have seen situations where the background started kind of pulsing, but I personally wasn't able to replicate this situation even though I tried. Video quality with this lens is very good, and I actually think that this can be very good lens for videography. The main limitation will probably be that focus. I will have to further test it for video use, but it seems that for my use it will be sufficient. I also tested this lens in extremely low light in a gold mine in city of Kremnica in Slovakia, and there I was astonished by results that I got from A6500 with this lens. There was no lighting there, the only light source there were lamps on helmets of people in the mine, and this is what it looked to my eyes. And this is what I managed to get out of the raw files. And here I took an advantage of in-body image stabilization in A6500. I was shooting at 1/10 of a second, which was enough to get sharp images. At f2.8 the lens let enough light in and sensor did capture enough information, so that was a pleasant surprise for me. To sum up this video, I can really say that this lens has delivered what I demanded. It is small and light. The sharpness at f5.6 is excellent. Sharpness at f2.8 is still usable. 19mm focal length is the best for me. Biggest weakness is probably the autofocus in certain specific situations, but for me autofocus continuous and wide area will do in majority of situations, and that works well. So thank you for watching this video, I hope that you have enjoyed it. If you would like to see more videos like this one, please consider subscribing. I appreciate your thumbs up or down. If you would like to ask anything or share your opinion, please do so in the comment section, and see you next time.